Welcome to the Game of Attention podcast. I'm Jess, your host today, and I'm joined by a couple of experts in the fashion and CPG worlds. Welcome to Galya and Rébecca. I'd love to hear a little bit of an intro from you both. Maybe Galya start?
Of course, I can start. Hi, Rébecca, Jess. Super nice to be here with you today and to take this topic together and discuss around. So I am responsible for 360 marketing planning at H&M Move, which is our sportswear addition to our mother brand, H&M. And my role in a nutshell really entails driving a cross-functional team from assortment to design to marketing and sales to really make sure that all our programs and efforts allow us to reach our commercial objectives. And I'm also currently pursuing an MBA degree. So yeah, look forward to this discussion together.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kayla. And Rébecca?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jess and Galya. Thank you for having me here too. So my name is Rébecca. I'm currently working in entry-level position at Gucci. I'm passionate about retail marketing insights and about marketing in general. I've been working for different brands in different countries. I'm happy to say that I've been in the 3 different continents to work on fragrances and also in marketing and consumer behavior. I have normally 3 competencies, but I consider myself more into innovation and science, and in another side, marketing and management.
Fantastic. Great. Yeah,
Nice to
thank
meet
you
you.
both so much for joining today. And, both of you have such great backgrounds for the topic that we're going to be discussing today, which is around redefining design, consumers and creation in digital fashion. So really looking forward to discussing this with you. And we're all dialing in from different parts of Europe today, which is great. So to get us started then on to the first discussion point. So in what ways do digital fashion technologies challenge or complement physical fashion, and how might they coexist in the future?
I really like this question.
Yeah.
I feel that digital do challenge the physical world because I feel they can be a little bit more proactive, even a lot more proactive. They can give more customization opportunities to the final clients, but they are also complementary, digital and physical. One can help the other boost their visibility, that is, it can be online. But in shops, it could be really interesting to see more and more shops implementing digital into the retails. For example, having a VR mirror where some client could try their clothes if it's not yet in stock. Or even speaking about digital sensory, what retail has is the experience, the sight, the smell that a client can have entering in a shop. While digital is really more difficult to touch the product, and I think it's where. What do you think, Galya?
No, I completely echo what you're saying, actually, Rébecca. I think we live in a world which is, evolving, and I like the idea of everything is changing constantly because nothing is constant, really. So I think definitely digital complements 100% the physical world. I don't think it's either or. I do think it's both. So I come from I was just saying to Jess earlier, from a very sort of like trained marketing and strategy background. And I think right now what's happening with the digital area, it's really helping us to evolve in the way we work, in the way we see things, from retail to product design to, how it faces the consumer. I really, really like how sort of the digital fashion technologies help us to from campaigns in marketing, to product design, prototyping, to really a customer experience. Like you were saying, it's possible to use augmented reality, to launch some type of sneakers in the, Instagram so that consumers can try, through the filters, etc. So I think it's a very, on one hand, complex world. On the other hand, it's evolving, it's changing, and that's really good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. And especially from kind of the consumer perspective, having the digital feed into the in-store. So things like when I need something for the next day, understanding if it's going to be in that store, but also being able to kind of turn on that in-store feature so I can only shop by what's in store in my local shop, and then I can go in and pick it up that day. I think that really takes that convenience to the next level for the consumer.
But I also, if I can build on that, I also think, it starts with the convenience, right? And the consumer need. Like, we all know that retail experience is extremely important these days because people like to hang out, especially the younger generation, to try on, the experience and to discover in the store. But, oftentimes we go online because it's really convenient to just get it delivered to the store, depending on what type of a category we're speaking about, fast fashion or luxury, or, it's a different type of thing, but it's really convenient. You can explore in the retail, but get it delivered through online. And that's just, it helps us save time as a consumer as well. I use that very often.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Rebecca, anything else you'd like to add on that point, or are we okay to go on to the next one?
What I feel that digital can also be a solution is related to the sensory experience. For example, when a shop has screens, what is the name is when you have a fragrance inside your shop and it changes according to the time. I love this, and I think digital can also be increased and improved with this type of sensory physical touch. For example, showing different type of scents according to the client that arrived. If it's a Gen Z client entering in a shop, we could have a fragrance that is more fruity, and if it's a client that's more in the east side, we can try to put fragrances related to citrus. And I think digital can also create an elevation of experience inside the shop, but even at the physical level, not only in the digital side.
I really, really like actually what you say, because I do think, a lot of people, I think when everything digital comes up, like the AI and et cetera, technologies, people think that it's going to sort of like remove the human part of things. However, they really go hand in hand, in my view. Sort of, it's really very obvious to me right now that when specific brands use all the digital technologies in the right way, plus the human, there are different, like, Revolve creates through AI, the product designs and everything. However, it comes down to the human eye, to the human to really choose and to really correct and to really bring the craftsmanship in the product. But the basis maybe changes through the digital technology. My point being is that they complement each other, and that's the beauty of things, because it still comes down to the human craftsmanship, to the human eye, to the human creativity, to really pick and choose and to really drive the brand to the next level, but through different tools.
Yeah, completely. And I also wanted to pick up on a point around the digital fragrances. And actually, Rebecca, for our listeners, maybe you could explain a bit more about this area which is really booming, and tell us a bit more about that. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So I've been working in a fragrance house, 6 months in Paris and then 6 months in Barcelona. And we started to investigate into digital fragrances. In Paris, we were more into traditional way of doing the fragrance with a perfumer, an expert who could smell every raw materials and create a unique fragrance, for example, for La Vie est Belle. But we have also this aspect of digital fragrance, which is a tool that will, a little bit like an AI, it has a bibliothèque of fragrance already created by humans. And this tool will be creating another fragrance based on consumers' needs, consumer preferences in the market, and will create a new fragrance, but without this human touch. It's creating only from memories of other perfumers that have already registered the creation in the AI. And this is what I'm speaking about when I say digital fragrance, because it's something that is created out of the cloud, you can say, out of an AI, like it for ChatGPT, by creating a fragrance that is physically real, that you can smell, but not created by a human. I see it as a beautiful opportunity going towards customization, create something new based on something that is already existing, but helping people to have their own sense, ultra personalization.
Yeah, getting that level of personalization in the hands of the consumer. It really sounds like an interesting new area.
Even for retails, when they use it inside the shop, or bakeries as well, when they want to promote a different sense.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So, kind of on to our next point then. So, what role does social media play in bridging the gap between digital fashion and consumers? And how might this change the future of fashion marketing? I really like this question.
Yeah, I mean, these days, we even have like AI influencers, and
Mm.
social media. To me, social media, I in general don't like this division between digital and traditional because in my head, there's no longer digital and traditional. Everything works very seamlessly. But social media to me is a channel that democratizes like so many different things, starting from lifestyle down to how people use technology and this idea of, AI influencers, which is absolutely not new at all. I think, the best example that's in my head, for instance, to answer this question is what Carling's brand did a while ago, when they used this idea that sustainability and self-expression, we all know where we come from a fashion industry and the topic of sustainability, how they, have created the digital clothing that you could try on your photos in social media. And then you can self-express yourself without buying the actual physical clothing. So I think, there's a lot happening in this area, and social media being the channel that brings everything to the masses, we can really, really capitalize on that notion.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of comes as the kind of consumer view as well. It kind of comes back to that convenience thing for me again. When you think about influencers, I'm scrolling through, I'm seeing what's on trend, and then being able to see what that clothing looks like on a body type closer to my own, rather than seeing the models on your your website or whatever it might be, and then clicking through LTK, and then I'm there and it's on my doorstep in the next
Yeah,
couple of days.
100%. I actually use the same technique myself. When I browse in the sort of like a brand, I go into the product, I scroll through the different sort of images, and then I go to Instagram and then I check the
Mm.
tagged items, like when they're tagged, and then you just find the product that you're looking for because the consumers, will post in a different post, the 100% the same usage. And for me, I would even say that, social media became, I don't know, like the next Google in a way. Like you really, me personally as a consumer, I think I've noticed that I look first of all on the Instagram page of the brand, to get an idea of the brand, and to see like how do they even, what do they sell, how do they position themselves, etc.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts on this one, Rebecca?
I totally agree. I'm doing the same also when I'm looking for a brand. I go first on their website, but I always end up on their Instagram, and then I search the keywords that could help me to find the same product on someone that have a physical body similar to mine or the same fit if it's related to a shoe.
I can also actually just give you an example. The other day, I was looking at a bag at Ferragamo, and their website. When like with the bags, especially these days, it's so popular to have the different sizes, and like these days, it's very popular to have the biggest, like extra maxi sizes. And then I was looking at the mini one, and then I caught myself on a thought that how important it is to have like a very detailed product description on the website and to replicate the same one on the Instagram post, because then you can really have that seamless consumer journey and you can really lead to the purchase if you make it really crystal clear for the consumer.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm very much a mini bag kind of girl. I grew up tonight.
And I feel what
Um,
is missing in the descriptions is sometimes really the sensory idea of the products. I love to read about the craftsmanship and the quality of the brand, but I would love even more to see how the bag feel if I touch it. Is it smooth or is it rigorous? It's little detail that helps also to feel inside the brand also, to really feel the brand.
I actually couldn't agree more with you, to be honest, because I feel like sometimes, this high quality zoomed in product photos are extremely helpful just to understand what's the material, does it have like almost like if they could create a 3D. I think there was a period when it was so popular to have, the videos of the product because when the model walks, how it flows, etc. But when you get like a more dimensional photo in the product listing pages or however they are called, I think you get a different type of exactly like you say, Rebecca, like a sensory that you can almost touch the product and you can really understand how would it feel as if you were at the store, you know?
Mhm. And it's
yeah,
more convenient without being inside the shop. I remember when I went to Instagram, I think it was last week, I saw a fashion show and I thought it was a real fashion show. And actually, it was done by AI on Instagram. And suddenly, you see a woman wearing a dress, red dress, and suddenly the dress go on fire. And I thought it was so interesting to not only show the product on social media, but also showing the personality of the creator, of the designer, what you want to express. This will make you feel indestructible because it will make you feel like you're the goddess of fire. I feel it's so interesting to add this touch of Alma.
Magic, magic.
Yes, also
yeah,
magic.
yeah, and really the brand really expressing themselves, and the designer rather.
And actually,
So,
on that, do you mind if I just build on that? It's just because
yeah,
it's such an important subject. I think, I think the examples that we're speaking about is the reason why we are personally in the coming from the industry are excited about is from a brands that really know their position and their target. And that's my entire sort of point of view on this topic. Unless you really know where you're coming from, I think it's just going to come across as acting on a trend rather than on building your brand and your position and being really close to your target and engaging with your target on a much deeper level rather than being a one-off. I think it comes from a very secure brands who know who's their target and their position. That's why they can really experiment and come up with brilliant ideas.
yeah, and actually, I think that feeds really nicely into our next point, which again, I really am so interested in to hear your answers on this question, because I have a couple of thoughts myself, but to hear from you guys will be amazing. How does digital fashion enable rapid prototyping compared to traditional methods? And what are the implications for reducing time to market?
For me, to be honest, this question is a little bit more tricky. If I think about it in the fragrance perspective,
Mhm.
because I'm way more familiar with this, I see it how it is way faster to use a tool that could design your own fragrances and the different scents. And the designer or the perfumer in the fragrance world will be improving it and can create 5 different fragrances in just one day instead of focusing on one who can last for 1 week until even 2 years. It's a question of one single fragrance according to the client. And I guess it would be the same for the for the fashion industry. Correct me, Galya, if I'm mistaken. But if a designer is seeing a prototype online or created digitally, I guess he could be doing it 5 times more faster.
I mean, yes, I can. I think it's the same logic here as well. We can answer the consumer demand quicker, and sort of like we have tons of different possibilities. From my point of view, it still comes down to the creator of whoever uses the tools and the designer. I think it's also very interesting. I personally don't touch the subject, but I have communicated with some of my colleagues and read a lot of reports that it can be really good for the sustainability point, subject, because then we can really test much quicker and learn quicker and answer the demands that are there. So from that point of view, I think it's really, it's a very, what's the right word? It's a very, how should I say this? Like a comprehensive tool. Different tools that are out there from a digital technologies point of view. But from my point of view, it's we answer the demands quicker, but then at the end of the day, it again comes down to the role of the creator. We can use whatever we want to use, but then it's in the hands of the human.
Yeah, and thinking then about that, the time to market, and Galya, you talked about sustainability, and I think this is quite a huge area, right, when it comes to brands such as Shein, for example, where the sheer amount of clothing and items that are being produced is all directly coming from those kind of sellout in trend products, right? It's interesting because you see very conflicting things as a consumer, because you have the let's go for the latest trend, but then on the flip side, there's a lot of buy sustainable, buy less, buy classic design, because then it will last you longer, which is also can be seen as quite a luxury, because often the sustainable items are at a higher price point, right? So not everyone can kind of go to that level, but then I guess you've got websites such as Vinted or eBay, which kind of answer that kind of level as well, because then there's that reuse element rather than just kind of wearing once and throwing away. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that area as well.
I mean, I think, one thought that comes to my mind, sort of like a very immediate thought, is, coming back to your earlier question about social media. I mean, we all know that the trends these days, like, it's one day one trend, another day another trend. And, it's not that we need to jump on a trend, but like, this trend that came up either in TikTok or in Instagram, I don't remember now the platform, about, the Jesus Christ, when you don't see the brands, what was the trend name? When it's very classic clothing, you don't see the brand.
No logo.
Reach something. Jesus Christ. Sorry, girls.
Okay.
I really want to remember the trend name, and then everyone started to dressing like that. You buy clothing that has no brand name, it's not visible, and then very classic. Which trend I'm speaking of.
I mean, the other kind of way I'm thinking of it is like the stealth wealth trend, where
Exactly.
you don't know the brand, but you look rich,
Very
but
chic and very classic and all of it, and then all of a sudden everyone, in the industry, in the category, starts, selling those type of collections, and those are very classic. I mean, I can't speak of us at H&M, but one example that I can for sure say is that we invest insane amount of attention and time into high quality garments, and that's extremely important. I think the consumer is becoming very educated, and that's really amazing. And the consumer is very used to choosing the right products, the right quality. But then, on the other side, you have things like, I have to get ready for a holiday, and then it's a one-off that I need to buy. So that's a different type of thing, I think, that's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say actually one area H&M are really good at is being very clear on their labeling, where you can be sure you're going for a sustainable choice within the store. So that's something I think is really, really great that brands can do to empower the consumer to making those choices, rather than just based on price point. That you're also going for a more sustainable choice.
But I mean, we in general believe that, to self-express yourself doesn't need to cost a lot, but then the quality is critical.
Yeah, agree. And Rebecca, in the fragrance side of things, obviously the kind of reducing time to market, I mean, it's a completely different type of thing, right? Typically, how long would a fragrance take to get to market from kind of initial concept?
It depends really on the project and the client. For example, we had one client, we had just 1 week to create the fragrance, and it was really difficult and tricky to create a fragrance from scratch. So the AI helped us to deliver a fragrance already pre-made and then recreated by a creator, a perfumer. And then it took 1 week. Then we have maybe 1 or 2 weeks of edition when the client preferred to have something a little bit more personalized with this layers or this bergamot a little bit more opulent. Then we can have maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks of a fragrance creation in the quickest, for the quickest example. And then you can go until 3 years or more before it's really in the market and with the consumers.
Okay, amazing.
It really will be depending on the selection of the client. If he wants to change many details or if he wants to go really fast and in 1 month the product is already in the market.
Fantastic. Thank you.
What I really like regarding just to continue to comment on the fashion side,
Yeah.
what I really like with the idea of AI, you were before speaking about when the material is a little bit more high quality, more sustainable, the price are also higher. But I think the AI can also help us to find a formula that could mix different ingredients of tissue, different textiles, to keep the price a bit low, but increase the strength of the material to allow every demography to use high quality clothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll move on to our final couple of questions. Actually, I'd call that under this last point. When it comes to engaging consumers, what can brands do to attract more attention in such a competitive environment?
I would definitely say sensory.
Sensory, yeah.
I think the human touch, even though it's for digital, for screen, or directly on retail, the human touch is really important. I remember, Galya, you said sometimes there are some person go to retail just to hang out. And I think
Mhm.
this is also an opportunity for brand to catch them with the sensory and the storytelling of the brand. Everything related to the sight, the senses is really appealing, and we need this more than the product itself, I believe,
Mm.
and the
And
personality.
is there any brands at the moment that you think are doing a good job of this?
For example, I have one fragrance in mind that is called Le Parfum de Marly. It's a beautiful fragrance packaging with the shape of a goddess inside the packaging. But the most interesting in the way of they are describing their fragrance, they use terminology that you can visualize yourself inside a garden, or you visualize yourself inside an emotion. For example, you feel happy when you read just the description and you want to smell it, even if it's for a screen. And the market is really succeeding with the digital senses, fragrances, but also alcohol. If we go a little bit further inside the luxury spectrum, and they are still involving their customers thanks to the descriptions and the emotions they want to deliver. Same also for fashion. I read many fashion doing the same thing, but I don't have an exact brand in mind.
That's fine. I'm curious about the alcohol example you were referencing. What's the brands that are doing that?
For example, I've been working with a brand called Asteria.
Okay.
It's a brand that is in a shape of a fragrance, but
Okay.
1 liter. So when you have the liquor in your hand, you feel you have a huge fragrance bottle, and you can actually drink it. And the packaging is quite graphic. It's related to art, and the description is a mix between poetry, emotions. It's really
Oh,
modern for me.
yeah, it's nice to have the combination of the two industries kind of complementing each other.
They're also taking inspiration for fashion, which is still it's a really beautiful brand that combine all the luxury world together to create one
Nice. And Galya, what are your thoughts on this question?
I echo Rebecca's point. I think for me, it all comes down to finding different ways to immerse your consumer in your brand experience and really create that from one channel to another channel and find different ways how you translate that and really immerse your consumer in really that world that you have for the brand. And like you say, from description down to how it smells in the store, what kind of videos you play in the store, how the product is hanging, when you come, you touch, you feel. And I think the brands that are really successful and that they really go all in, they invest so much money in bringing to life their brand worlds in the different touch points. The one that I am quite inspired about personally is Swarovski. And I think everything that the way the brand has changed and, the way that they have evolved from, a couple of years ago, for me, they were a very dusty brand. But, with, again, the creative director, the human touch coming into the brand, and, shifting it and making it very contemporary, still being very sort of true to their DNA and where they come from their heritage, and everything from the brand collaborations that they do to, the celebrities that they dress to, celebrities that they dress to, the concerts that they support of the celebrities. I think it's all, to me, coming from a very 360 background, it's all coming down to understanding, again, what's your brand, what's your consumer, and really meticulously bringing to life your brand experience across all the touch points and using, let it be AI or, so I think we will come to the point where the consumer will be very tired of everything, that's happening right now. And then we'll have to come down to very basics, to, how do we, especially in the luxury, how does the personnel at the store speaks with you? And, I don't want to be welcomed by an AI when I go to a luxury store. I want to really speak with the person who knows very well what's this material made of. When I touch, a coat in the Chanel store or a jacket, I really want that storytelling around the product, and I want to hear it from the person to person. However, when I am, saying something new and, I need to try it on and I don't want to go to the store, I can easily be, served by a digital tool and, oh, this looks nice, this doesn't look nice. So I think it comes down to a point where you need to understand your customer journey and understand where at that journey you have to infuse it with the different technologies and how you can enhance that experience.
Totally. I really like the fact that you say when someone entering a luxury store, they don't want to speak with an AI, but with a human touch, with a human person. I know that at Gucci, every time a client entering the shop, what we're trying to do is that we will speak with the client about himself, what he's looking for, but as well about his personal point of view on his shop, on the shopping experience he would like to have. Sometimes we guide them to a sales assistant who can explain him the texture and the storytelling of each product. But what I'm really fascinating is that at Gucci, sometimes when we have a time of waiting, the client misses this digital world because in the digital world it's faster. So what we create is a moment where the emotions is the most important. So we speak about their kids, if there are kids around. We speak about what they are doing in the city, if they're in vacation, where they are going to go, what they're doing to do. And we will advise them on what is the best restaurant or what is the funniest story we heard today. And this will create an opening between the brand and the client even before really touching the product. And I feel this all is linked to storytelling and a
Yeah,
360 marketing.
100. I really, really, I think I can't, I echo everything what you say, Rebecca, because I think it comes down to us, people who come from the brand side to really identify what our consumer wants at what point in time, and to really, like you say, enhance that experience and make it, the best for the consumer who is going through that experience right now. And I think when the brands can really do that and can really find the right technology or the right human touch, whatever that is, then it becomes really you can really see it in the result, either the customer satisfaction or the commercial objectives that the brand has.
And it's about the brand, or like the authenticity, right? Creating that connection. Rebecca, what you're talking about, when you go into a Gucci store, and I will say I've had that experience when going into Gucci and Bond Street, or whether I'm going into the Bicester Village, it's that same kind of feeling compared to some designers where you can feel a little bit, oh, they don't want me in here, I'm not meant to be in here. I feel I've always had very good experiences in Gucci, and also going in and having one idea of what you want, and then you talk to that sales associate. And I went in with an idea, a bag that I'd been saving for a long time. I've gone online, thought I knew exactly what I wanted. And then, the sales associate that was helping me brought out something and said, have you seen this? And I was like, no, that's what I want. So it just shows that kind of the online research, but then taking it in store, I think kind of, feeds into a few points we've had today. And Galya as well, just you mentioning about the Swarovski kind of turnaround, the partnership they did, or collaboration rather, that they did with Skims was just so iconic. I don't know if you saw that, but that was something that I thought was just genius. Absolutely love that.
Oh, I didn't see it. I will search.
Have a Google. I mean, Kim is powerhouse. But and then, last question that we had here. So, which strategies do you make use of to optimize creative for a better buy-in from your audience? Maybe Galya, we'll start with you here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will just repeat myself. I think it's just a constant iteration and learning. I think social media helps us quite a lot in that, just to identify, what really works with our target. And first and foremost, crystallizing, and really making it super clear who is our target. Is this, a girl, a woman, at what age, like what does she do? And then really testing and iterating it. And from actually also from a product design down to social media content, to really understand what resonates with the consumer, and to see if we can capture the customer need in that way.
Fantastic. Rebecca, any kind of final thoughts there?
Yes, for me, it's all summarized with emotions. I guess for me, emotion is really important in all the journey of the client. If we can understand what is giving him a bad thoughts or repelling him, we can win, because we can understand his needs and his fear, and trying to help him entering inside the brand. Recently, in my position, I try to integrate insights within the retail. So every time I have a contact with a client, I try to understand their emotions, their feeling, and I try to switch it into something more positive. One time I was speaking with a client for half an hour before they actually enter in the shop to do their shopping with a sales assistant. And all this information for every type of customers, I will gather them into my software to create monthly review or weekly or even daily review of what type of customers are entering in the shop, what were the feelings and the feedback. And this is again with the AI. And I think both together will really deliver something that is potent, deliver a strategy that we can follow to improve the emotions towards fashion.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's been kind of a theme throughout our conversation today, right? It's the use of AI and ways to kind of speed up processes, but equally you know, the human touch is always needed. And I think, you know, everyone's in agreement there that will always be done. And I really liked your take on all the kind of sensory side of things as well, and that human touch. Fantastic. So I think, you know, that's come to the end of our discussion points. Was there anything either of you wanted to kind of elaborate on before I do the sign off, or do you think, you know, we're happy where we are?
I think we're good.
Fantastic. Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for both your time. So for our listeners, if you have any questions for Galya or Rebecca, please feel free to add those into the comments section wherever you're listening to this podcast. But yes, thanks so much for both your time today, Galya and Rebecca, and hopefully everyone's found this a really helpful and insightful discussion.
Thank you.
It was insightful. Thank you.